Hi, this is Bari from Bari J, and today we're going to get started on the Holiday in London Duffle Bag. And there's a couple things that I wanted to talk to you about before we get started on this sew along. Today you're going to do all of your cutting, which is on page 1 and obviously the pattern sheet. And I want to make sure that you are careful to transfer all markings and that you know what the markings mean. Some of them are a little unusual. This is the front panel of the bag, and you cut it on the front and back panel and the lining panels. And you cut it on the folds. You can see I've marked where to cut on the folds. There's a mark here, and that would normally indicate a notch. It is a notch, and you're going to put it in the center, which is the fold. And you're going to mark here. And there's a mark here where the handles are going to go. And do mark this on both sides of the fabric, one side of the fold and the other. So ask that be careful to mark everything that's marked on the patterns. I want to talk about interfacing. Interfacing can be a difficult choice. In this pattern, you always, of course, you have to say what kind of interfacing to use. And I made the bag when I was testing it out with both, I used Pellon, the heavy Pellon. I used the fusible fleece, the anti-soft and stable, and I used buckram. And then I used a combination of things as well. So I really tested it out of how I wanted to put it. And really my favorite is always going to be probably fusible fleece or anti-soft and stable. So I put that in there. This time I've got fusible fleece. I've decided to do a patchwork bag. But the interfacings, you're going to have to decide, does, my sewing machine handle heavier, heavier? Maybe I can add buckram to make it stand up a little bit more. Quilting will make your bag stand up a bit more, and that's what I'm going to do on this one with the fusible fleece. Buckram is a very stiff material that is used in hat making, and that's a good thing to use sometimes. So really think about how you want to sew and how you want the bag to turn out, not necessarily what's the pattern say and that's exactly what I'm going to use, because sometimes you'll just become frustrated with it and you don't want that to happen. Anyway, so moving along, I wanted to also talk to you. This time I'm going to glue baste my pieces on a lot of it. Glue basting just involves putting a little fine line of glue in the seam allowance and then heat setting it. And that, I'm hoping that really helps on the zipper placket and things like that. And I'm, excuse me, actually know this will work very nicely on that. So I did it on all my quilts for Quilt Market. This is a technique that I got from Sharon Chamber. One of my very good friends is Christy Fincher, who is Sharon Chamber's daughter. And Sharon is one of the world's best quilters, and she's also owned a bridal business for years and years and years. Had a huge factory, and she just knows everything. So she came up with this technique of glue basting, and Christy sells these great fine tips if you want to get those at purpledaisiesllc.com. And so this is a really great method, and I'll do more of that as we go along. So the other thing I want to talk to you about was patchwork. So if you would like to do your bag in patchwork like I'm doing here, just make your patchwork pieces and make them bigger than what you're going to need to use so that you can then quilt it. If there's any shrinking when quilting happens, then you can just cut it out and it'll be the right size. So what I'm saying is don't quilt it, don't cut it to the size of the pattern and then quilt it, because you're going to have, an 1/8 of an inch here and an 1/8 of an inch there, and that adds up as you go along. So what I'm doing is cutting after quilting. So that is that, and I will get started on my handles and be back to you either later today or tomorrow with handle placement. Talk to you soon. Bye.